Hello everyone, I'm going over some fossils that I have found at Ladonia Fossil Park. That's near Ladonia, North Texas. I got involved in fossil hunting maybe 10 years ago and I've been going out ever since. So just kind of showing some of the fossils that I have collected over the years. This first specimen is a pretty modern day bone. It's not really a fossil to say, but just kind of showing you an example of a bone that I pulled out of the river. It could be a deer antler or some piece of cow or something that is a bone. You can see the porous. This second bone here is a little bit older, maybe a couple hundred years old, who knows. No carbon dating here, so just kind of guessing by the just the weight of it that is absorbed more materials, more sediment, minerals, that is a little bit older of a bone. Found in the North Sulphur River. Not sure what sort of animal it goes to, but it is definitely a bone. This is an odd shaped rock or bone, I'm not sure exactly, but it does have some interesting features to it. The reason I think it's a bone is just due to the shape back here, some porousness, and then also just kind of by its form and features that it could possibly be some type of bone, but I do not know for sure. This particular bone here, it's obviously porous on the bottom, as you can see here. To me, it almost looks like maybe like a deer or something, like a hoof or something, but that's just kind of guessing. But certainly old, a couple hundred years old maybe. Not completely fossilized like a prehistoric bone, like this mosasaur bone over here, which is very heavy, probably about the same weight as this one. So only a few hundred years old, not prehistoric. And that's just an example of the bone as well that I found. This one here I actually found not in the North Sulphur River, but I found this one close by my house. This is another example of bone. This one looks probably, again, pretty old. I don't know if it's completely fossilized, but it is absorbed some minerals over time, so maybe it could be a couple hundred years old. And that is an example of another bone. And that should be it for my. And then over here we actually have an example of what I think is prehistoric. So it's a prehistoric bone that could be a mosasaur bone. You can definitely see certain patterns within it, bumps that would show that this is a prehistoric bone. It's a mosasaur bone, probably, but I can't tell exactly what sort of. This right here is another piece of mosasaur bone that I have. It's just smaller, chipped off possibly, but based on the material, it's a piece of bone. You can also see right here where you see a socket smoothed out here, and then you can kind of see the design of the bone as well here for that piece. Next, we have examples of some gastropods that I have found in the North Sulphur River. Over here to the left side, we have almost a classic clam. You can see the shell, something like you would find on the beach or somewhere else, but it's got a black material, which is phosphorus material, which makes it preserved for a longer time. Over here we have another, like a snail, if you can see that. We've got another very tiny little baby, looks like another little shell, something you would find on the beach again. And then we have another example over here. You can kind of see the swirl pattern involved there, kind of like a snail. And then finally we have actually a larger example of a gastropod here, probably the biggest one that I have. And that is the gastropods. Again, they're black. They obviously held the material inside there for a long time, and after the shell wore away, it was left with that cast of the black phosphoric material, and that's what has preserved it. Next up, we have baculite. These are actually pretty common in the North Sulphur River. This was a long conical shaped creature in the Cretaceous era, a lot of these are segmented, and so they're kind of broken pieces of what a tail would be much longer. So they're kind of segmented. You can actually see the various segments, and what they have is what they call sutures, which is kind of like a snail or something. And so you can see the design that has been left over time. These are all fairly similar. This one right here has almost some calcite or something formation right here at the bottom of it, which has made it really kind of an interesting color to it, and that's my favorite one probably. It's very large as well. All the rest of them are fairly similar, but you find quite a bit of these in the North Sulphur River. Again, they're composed of phosphorus that was inside of a shell, and over time the shell broke apart, and you're left with these interesting designs as well. Again, these are kind of a suture pattern, and I can kind of zoom in here on one of them, and you can see just that really interesting suture pattern. And then they get broken over time, so they're kind of segmented. I'd imagine these would be quite a bit longer if it was a one whole piece, but obviously over time, being tumbled for 100 million years, they're not going to last that long. So just bits and pieces, but they're very common in the North Sulphur River. These are examples of red bryozoan fossils that are similar to coral or modern day coral from the Cretaceous area 100 million years ago. They have some interesting little designs and dimples within them. Kind of zoom in, kind of show you some of these designs that you can see within them that make them look like modern day coral. Kind of interesting. Anyway, this right here looks like just a sedimentary layer within the ocean floor. You can see pieces of shell within it. So a lot of dirt, mud, silt, sand, whatever it is that formed with these various pieces of shell within it. So it's composed of multiple layers, multiple pieces of shell, all within this same composite structure. So I thought it was an interesting find. But as you can see, just layers and layers of shells within this particular fossil. Here's an example of an oyster. It's one of the larger ones I have. You can see the classic curvature here that goes around like this. And then you can see the bottom here as it has worn out. And this is, again, about 100 million years old. And these are found pretty common in the North Sulphur River. Some of them are pretty big, heavy. That's it. This is almost a more modern day shell. I just thought it was interesting to kind of find these in the Sulphur River. It looks kind of like the other oysters, but it looks, like it's very much polished, not rock or stone, not sedimentary material, but a newer material that looks a little more polished. Petrified wood that I have pulled out of the river. Kind of cool. Just a piece of rock, but it's really petrified wood. Just looks like a regular modern day wood, except for it is stone. Last but not least, this is not something that I found on my own, but this is something that I acquired through collecting. This is a megalodon tooth, and this is from North Carolina, from, I guess, out somewhere in the beach or ocean that somebody has found. Just really impressive, the size of the tooth, compared to my hand. A lot of these are even bigger. This is actually small, relatively compared to some of the other ones that are out there, but you can just see the serrated edges and the size of this large shark. Certainly wouldn't want to be bit by this shark. So that's the conclusion for now. Thanks for joining in.